The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Exploring the Unknown with Rebecca and Shay. Taking stories from today's news, Rebecca and Shay will explore everything from the paranormal, supernatural, the strange and unusual, unsolved mysteries, and more. Join them as they delve deep into the unknown and mysterious. Taken from news headlines. Water cooler chat with a paranormal twist. Only on Paranormal Buzz Radio. Hey, Rebecca, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Shay?
I'm good. I just want to apologize in advance if there's any loud noises in my background because we're recording pretty early. This is the earliest we've ever done it, and so there might be more traffic than even normal for our show. But other than that, I'm good.
Well, good. Yeah, we're snowed in again. So, yay, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, well, I didn't have to get out and try and get her to school, so that kind of is nice.
Yeah. So today we're doing part two.
Part two of our top 40 list, which I've never heard of a top 40 list before this article, so.
No. So far we've had some familiar ones. And we have had some new ones.
Yeah, this is an interesting list. It's got like some old favorites and then some ones that I had never heard of. So It's kind of cool.
And just a reminder, if you guys missed last week's show for the first part of it, we have found some errors. Factual errors. Yeah.
This article isn't, they didn't fact check this one and they should have.
Yeah. But
where are the fact checkers when you need them?
Right, because I can't Google and talk at the same time. I try, but I'm not that good.
Yeah, so if you notice any errors that we miss, then yeah. I mean, we've been calling them out as we find them, but...
It's hard when you don't know the place at all, and then hard when you just know a little bit about the place, so...
Right. Like some of these are more well known and I know a lot about them. And then other ones I've heard of, but I don't know a lot. And then some of them I've just never heard of at all. So yeah, I'm not sure of the accuracy. You know, when you find one or when you find two, we found, how many did we find? Like 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Big errors.
Yeah.
In the article.
Like factual history.
Yeah. Ones that were easy to Google and say, no. That makes you kind of question everything.
Yeah. Where did we leave off?
We left off at one that I am actually supposed to go to this year. I'm excited about.
Yay.
We were supposed to go last year. It was on the schedule, and then COVID. So this year is supposed to be the year I'm supposed to really go.
Fingers crossed.
Right?
Yep.
Reports of paranormal activity at Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky inspired a horror movie. I didn't realize that part.
Me neither.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium started off as a one-room schoolhouse in the late 1800s. The Board of Tuberculosis Hospital later purchased the land and built the sanatorium, which opened in 1910 as a small quarantine for tuberculosis patients. My goodness, I can't talk again.
I'm rubbing off on you.
I guess. The large building that now sits abandoned was built in 1926 in response to the need for a larger facility. And the sanatorium could house over 400 patients. Waverly Hills was its own community, complete with zip code, post office, and water treatment facility. Everyone in the sanatorium, patients, nurses, doctors, were cut off from the outside world. It closed in 1961 after an antibiotic that cured tuberculosis was discovered. However, it's believed that some patients never left and still haunt the grounds. Reports of paranormal activity inspired the horror movie Death Tunnel. set in the underground passageways used by staff to remove bodies from the building. And the Waverly Hills Historical Society offers guided tours and paranormal investigations.
I've never heard of that movie.
I haven't either. I have seen this one investigated, though, on Ghost Hunters and stuff, so I'm really excited to get over there myself.
Oh, I don't blame you.
This one's more about you, Shay.
Yep.
The New Ledge Lighthouse in New London, Connecticut is said to be haunted by the spirit of its former keeper. I don't know that I've heard of this one.
I'm not sure.
The New London Ledge Lighthouse was built on top of a concrete pier in Connecticut's New London Harbor in 1909. Until the Coast Guard took over the lighthouse in 1939, individual keepers kept the light on for passing ships. The spirit of a former keeper named Ernie is said to haunt the building, with reports of doors opening and closing themselves, televisions and radios turning themselves off and on, and occasional sightings of a ghostly bearded man. If you dare, tours are offered during the summer.
I've been to a haunted lighthouse in Connecticut, but I don't think this is the one.
I was going to say, I've seen lots of haunted lighthouses, but I don't think I've seen that one.
No, this one's not connected to land at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's like on a concrete. Huh.
And I would remember taking a boat to it, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you probably would.
Yeah, I would hope.
This next one we've all heard of, I think. Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, served as the inspiration behind Stephen King's novel The Shining.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, which later became a cult favorite horror movie. According to the paranormal experts, the hotel is said to be one of America's most active ghost sites. F.O. and Flora Stanley, a couple from Massachusetts, opened the hotel in 1909, and it's believed their ghosts still haunt the place. At night, Mrs. Stanley is said to play the piano in the music room. Other reports include lights turning on and off, sounds of laughter, and bags mysteriously being unpacked. Guests can even book spirited rooms in the hotel where there's high paranormal activity. Options include the Stephen King suite or the ghost hunter's favorite room.
Now, you would think they would mention why and how it inspired the movie.
Yeah, you would think.
For anybody that doesn't know, Stephen King stayed there. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to get the details wrong, but I do know that much.
Yeah, and again, this is one I know I've heard of and I know about, but I don't really know a lot about, you know?
Yep.
Like, oh yeah, it's Estes Park, you know? So, yeah, I know of it, but I'm not, like, really up on all the details.
Right.
I haven't been, obviously, although I'd like to.
He had some kind of experience there when he stayed there, and that's what got the whole thing going.
Right. He just stayed there and then had like a paranormal experience and then wrote the book after that.
Right.
Neat place.
Beautiful place.
Oh, it is gorgeous. I thought they weren't doing as many haunted stuff at the Stanley anymore.
I think I heard that too.
Yeah, I had heard that they had new owners and they were kind of backing off of the whole ghost hunting thing.
I think so. From what I recall.
I don't know if I've heard this next one either. Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama.
Nope.
Said to be haunted by former employees. The Sloss Furnaces are now a historic national landmark, but in the late 19th century, they produced iron, which was then turned into steel. James Slag Wormwood was the boss of the furnaces, and it's said that he put his employees through some pretty inhumane conditions. I think we've all kind of had bosses like that.
19th century inhumane, probably, if they classify it as that, must have been really bad.
Yeah, it's probably really bad. Labor laws didn't exist at the time, and temperatures in the furnaces often reached above 100 degrees. A total of 47 men died with Wormwood as their boss, and even Wormwood himself lost his life in the furnaces when he slipped and fell into the iron ore, causing his body to melt. Ugh.
Oh!
Wormwood and his workers are believed to haunt the furnaces to this day. Yeah, I bet they are.
Yeah, right?
I don't know if I've seen this one on Ghost Hunters or not.
I don't recall it.
It seems vaguely familiar, but I could be wrong.
Ugh. Nasty.
Room 410 in the Queen Anne Hotel in San Francisco, California is said to be haunted. Just that one room? Okay. Before this historic Victorian home was a hotel, it was a finishing school for girls. A wealthy senator opened the school in 1890 in order for his 2 teenage daughters to be able to live near him. A woman named Mary Lake worked at the school and was said to be the senator's favorite, which is why she eventually became headmistress. The school was short-lived, though, and closed only 6 years after opening. Lake was distraught about the closing and left San Francisco shortly after. She's since returned in the form of a ghost who likes to haunt room 410, which is believed to be her former office. Guests staying here will sometimes find their bags mysteriously unpacked. Okay, that seemed really odd to me.
That's too. If I was a ghost and somebody was staying in my room, I'd be packing their bags.
Right? And, if she was a headmistress, why would she unpack the bags?
All right.
That doesn't make sense to me. And if it was only for a school for such a short amount of time, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure I guess she made the connection, but I don't know.
I don't know either. Weird.
Well, let's let us investigate to find out.
Right? There you go. We'll put it on our list.
Yes. If we ever get to San Francisco. This one I've heard of. I think I saw this one on one of the shows. The Lolani Palace in Honolulu, Hawaii, has been known to exhibit some paranormal activity. I hope I said that right.
I
probably did. I don't know. It looks like it starts with an I, though. Iolani?
I can't tell either, the way they're...
I'm not
font
Hawaiian.
they're using.
Yeah.
Iolani?
Well, anyway, I've said it, and we'll say how, I probably butchered it. But anyway, it was built in 1882 by King Kolaku, the last king of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The opulent residence was ahead of its time, boasting electricity, telephones, and even indoor plumbing. After Kolaku's death in 1891, his sister, Queen Liliuokalani, took over both the palace and the kingdom until the monarchy was overthrown 2 years later. The new government seized the palace and held Queen Liliuokalani as prisoner in her former home. Today, the palace is a museum, and many visitors say the royals never really left. Visitors have reported seeing ghosts and hearing mysterious music and chanting in the room where Queen Liliuokalani was imprisoned. Yeah, I think they kind of butchered that history there.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I have no doubt at this point.
People say the Indiana Medical History Museum in Indianapolis is haunted by former patients. I'm not sure if I've heard of this one either.
Me neither.
Indiana Medical History Museum sits on the grounds of the Central State Hospital, a hospital that opened in 1848 and treated patients with illnesses such as schizophrenia, depression, hysteria, alcoholism, senile dementia, and epilepsy. It was referred to as the Indiana Hospital for the Insane and was often accused of abusing its patients. The hospital's pathological department was opened in 1896 with the goal of researching and educating people about the physical causes of mental diseases. The department was in operation until the 1960s, but now serves as a museum. It's the oldest pathology facility in the country, and it still houses preserved specimens like brains.
Wow.
It would be an interesting place to investigate.
Yeah. And at the very least, just to visit.
Well, yeah, for sure. It sounds really interesting.
It does.
The Crescent Hotel and Spa in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, is said to be haunted by a patient who died at the hands of a man pretending to be a doctor. Now a historic hotel and spa nestled into the Ozarks, the Crescent Hotel and Spa wasn't always such a lovely place. A year before the hotel even opened in 1886, someone fell from one of the buildings. Then in the 1930s, Norman G. Baker turned the hotel into an institute for cancer patients. Baker, a millionaire from Iowa who was a former magician, radio broadcaster, and inventor, I don't see doctor, claimed that he could cure cancer and that organized medicine was corrupt. In reality, though, Baker had absolutely no medical background. One of his most well-known patients was Lulu Tunis, whose husband John was desperate to find someone who could save her. And she died only months after being, quote unquote, treated by Baker. Baker was eventually discovered as a hoax and imprisoned, but many say his spirit and many others still haunt the hotel. Either I don't remember this history of the Crescent, or
Either I don't remember it, or I'm thinking of a different place, or they're wrong.
Maybe.
I don't know, but I just know the magician part makes sense. He magically invented a medical degree.
Right? Exactly.
That's why he's a magician and an inventor. He magically invented a medical degree.
Right? Exactly. I mean, organized medicine in the 30s might not have been exactly really great.
And then when you're desperate, people can do odd things.
There's people to this day that do this same thing, especially for cancer. They make up, take these drugs, these herbs, take the herbal medicine, and I mean, it's not that far-fetched, really.
Right.
Ooh, here's one by you, Shay.
Yes, I like this one.
Said to be home to the infamous Jersey Devil. There's not one single landmark in Pine Barrens, New Jersey that hosts spirits and mysterious creatures. The forest spans 7 counties and contains ghost towns galore.
Hold on.
What?
Hold on. Oh, it says that there's not. Okay, I missed that. I'm like, how can they say it's haunted but still has no ghosts? Sorry, I misunderstood.
Not a single landmark.
Yes.
It's not like there's one place. It's this huge forest.
Yeah, I got it now.
We've talked about the Jersey Devil before, so.
Yeah.
During the colonial era, the area was bursting with sawmills, paper mills, and towns to accompany them, but they were all abandoned when coal was discovered in Pennsylvania. It's also said to be home to the infamous Jersey Devil, a beast that the Pinelands Preservation Alliance describes as a kangaroo-like creature with the face of the horse, the head of the dog, bat-like wings, horns, and tail. According to folklore, it was the 13th child of a woman named Deborah Leeds, who offered it to the devil while pregnant with it in 1735. Upon its birth, the newborn sprouted talons, hooves, and wings, and killed its mother, siblings, and the midwife before disappearing. Sightings persist today as it continues to terrorize livestock and humans.
There's a lot missing out of that story.
There's a lot more to the Jersey Devil, yeah, for sure. I mean, that could be like a whole top 40 article, really.
Yes, it could be.
A famous one, and I think we know a lot about this one, so let's see how factual their article is here.
Yes.
Amityville Horror House in Amityville, New York was the scene of a mass murder. In 1974, 23-year-old Ronald Defoe shot and killed his whole family, his mother, father, and 4 siblings while they were asleep in the house. Just over a year later, the Lutz family moved into the home. The family didn't even stay a full month before moving, no longer able to take the strange paranormal activity they reported witnessing in the house. Their stories included strange smells, waking up at 3:15 a.m., which is when the murders were committed, a spirit knocking a knife down in the kitchen, levitating while asleep, and more. These stories inspired a series of books, movies, and documentaries. Ronald Defoe is still serving his sentence for the murders.
They got the basic information pretty close.
Yeah, they weren't too off on that one, I don't think.
No.
Spot any glaring errors.
Yeah. That man is crazy.
Obviously, really crazy. And are they doing, allowing ghost investigations at Amityville now? Last I heard, I didn't think they were.
No, they are not. And actually, there's been no paranormal activity since the Lutzes moved out and the Warrens and all that. Reported activity.
Right.
So,
right.
Because this is near me.
Yeah, right. And that's kind of what I had heard, is that they don't do investigations there. And I don't know. I mean, I know there are a lot of people who would like to, but
Yep. Maybe someday.
Here's one specific room. Legend has it that room 525 is particularly haunted at the Driscoll Hotel in Austin, Texas. Colonel Jesse Driscoll, a cattle baron, opened the Driscoll Hotel in 1886. He was a compulsive gambler, though, and had to give it up soon after. He died only 4 years after the hotel opened, and his ghost supposedly wanders the hotel. But as a woman, a disguise that is said to help him look out for other women. Okay, that one's kind of bizarre.
I have no words.
now I really want to go. Room 525 is particularly haunted. 2 women, both on their honeymoons, died by suicide in the same room. On their honeymoon?
20 years apart.
Huh. Then there's the portrait of Samantha Houston, the 4-year-old daughter of a U.S. senator who died in the hotel. Visitors who look at her portrait report a strange feeling. That's an interesting place. Cross-dressing gamblers and all.
I don't understand how a paranormal investigator could even conclude that it's this man dressed up as a woman to look out for other... Like, that's a lot of...
Unless you actually saw him and he had a great big mustache.
I had an aunt that had a big mustache. And you would have to see him like me and you, because it would have to be clear as day. I don't know. There's just a lot of questions on that one. I'll have to look into this one more, because that's just nuts.
Maybe you were known for dressing up, and I don't know, but that's just really odd.
I'm gonna write this one down and look into it more, just to see if
yeah, because the picture looks like a beautiful hotel.
It does. It really does. Grand, very grand.
Very. Shanghai tunnels in Portland, Oregon have a dark history. I've heard of these.
I have too.
Shanghai tunnels in Portland get their name from the practice that became known as Shanghaiing, kidnapping and selling men as workers on ships headed to East Asia. Restless, agitated spirits of men who were drugged and trafficked in the city's ports during the early 19th century are said to haunt the underground tunnels through which they were reportedly sold. Legend has it the local saloons contained entrances to the tunnel, enabling swindlers to prey on unsuspecting patrons and bring them directly underground before they even knew what was going on. Today, visitors can take walking tours to learn more about the dark history of the tunnels.
I don't know enough about this one to even say if that's accurate or not.
And again, this is one I've heard about, but I don't know a lot about. But it sounds interesting. I'd like to take a tour.
Yeah, I would too.
Stull Cemetery in Stull, Kansas is considered by many to be one of the gateways to hell. Interesting.
Hell has so many gateways, man.
Yeah, right. Stull Cemetery is allegedly a place where Satan himself comes to wreak havoc and where occult ceremonies and meetings take place. It has inspired many movies and used to draw its fair share of ghost hunters. That was until the local police put a $1,000 fine in place for unauthorized visitors following multiple incidences where headstones were tipped over. Yep.
Did you see me dope slap myself?
A few bad apples ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, first of all, I hate people that go into cemeteries and deface things. And
look, it's just rude.
It is.
Bad karma, there's no call for it on.
There isn't. And don't you think Satan has better things to do?
I would assume. I would assume.
Like, some claims just, like, baffle me. Like, how'd you get there?
Yeah. Yeah. And, the whole investigating the cemetery thing, I think, you can investigate it during the day. I don't really see a big reason to go out there after dark. I just don't.
No, it's just to capture more. It's quieter. But if something's haunted, it doesn't matter day or night. We've talked about this all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, this next one looks really pretty, too. Really neat building.
Very.
Yeah. The Detroit Masonic Temple in Michigan is filled with winding staircases, hidden compartments, and cavernous arches, perfect for ghostly residents.
Ooh.
One ghost said to haunt the Masonic Temple is reportedly the man responsible for its 1912 construction, George D. Mason himself. According to Haunted Rooms, the temple features several cold spots interpreted as indicators of paranormal activity and has roof doors that are known to swing open the moments after being locked. The temple attracts visitors from around the world hoping to spot a ghost. I don't know. I've heard of this one.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. It looks neat.
It does.
Like the idea of the hidden rooms and stuff. That sounds fun.
Very
sounds
cool.
Even if there isn't a ghost.
I like touring places just for history, so if it, whether it's haunted or not.
Exactly. Me too. I like going into the old neat buildings to see what they look like and stuff. So.
I do too.
Thronewood Castle Inn and Gardens in Tacoma, Washington, was featured in Stephen King's miniseries Rose Red in 2002 as a haunted mansion. I don't think I've heard of that miniseries, but I haven't watched it.
I have watched it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I liked it. It was good.
Chester Thorne had Thornwood Castle built in 1908 for his bride Anna. The grand 54-room estate was made from the bricks of a 400-year-old Elizabethan manor in England that Thorne purchased and dismantled. And that's the way to get a haunted house. He had the bricks, oak paneling, and stained glass shipped from England for the construction of the castle. Today, Thornwood is a bed and breakfast as well as a popular venue for weddings and events. The site is reportedly haunted by several former residents. Some say the light bulbs in Chester's former room are commonly found unscrewed. Others say they've seen Anna sitting near the window in her old room, whereas a reflection in a mirror that dates back to her time.
I'm off in space because I think also, nothing to do with paranormal, but I think in the late 80s, maybe 89, 90, somewhere in there was a TV miniseries on Rose Red. Something along that line.
I think so too, because I don't know. People talk about that series, the Rose Red series, being hard to find and hard to watch. I had hard to find a copy of, but if it was in 2002,
the original.
The original 80s series was probably hard.
It was like a 3-night thing. It was like a Lifetime movie before Lifetime.
Right.
So, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Let's see. This one, Fort Delaware in Delaware City, Delaware, was used to imprison Confederate soldiers. My goodness, I'll get it out one day. During the Civil War. Fort Delaware was built as a Union fortress during the Civil War, but was used as a prison for captured Confederate soldiers. It is said that conditions were abysmal, and many prisoners died there due to maltreatment. It doesn't come as much a surprise then that the restless spirits are said to haunt the building. Ghost tours are available on the isolated island, which is only accessible by ferry. I think I might have seen this one, but I'm not positive on shows.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it looks neat.
It does.
I'm sure it's probably got a ton of activity too. Just that time period and stuff.
Yeah, those old buildings, they're so beautiful.
Just looks really beautiful. The ghost of the former mistress of the Luna Mansion in Las Lunas, New Mexico, has been spotted dining there, according to longtime employees. Josephita Manderfield Ortero, nicknamed Pepe. Oh, yeah, I can see. With that name, you need a nickname. Was once the mistress of this mansion, personalizing it with murals and a sunroom. After her death in 1951, it became a restaurant. Customers have reported seeing her watching them dine and causing an empty rocking chair to move back and forth on its own. Many of the mansion's longtime employees claim to have seen Pepe as well. Whatever I saw walking by those two doors was solid. You couldn't see straight through her, but you could tell she wasn't flesh. Cook Thomas Shook told the news bulletin.
I think I've heard of this because I recognize the Josephita and the Pepe name, but
Ooh, a library. The ghost of a librarian is said to haunt Hutchinson Library in Hutchinson, Kansas. This looks like a new building here, too, people.
It does.
Looks very modern. Librarian Idata de Pulsafel, that's a name, started working at the Hutchinson Public Library in Kansas in 1915. She apparently loved the job so much she wanted to continue working there even after she died. Pulsafel went to work for a library in California in 1954 and was killed in a car accident on her first day. Wow. Soon after, visitors to Hutchinson's library reported feeling cold spots, hearing footsteps, and even spotted her sorting books in the basement. Yeah, I think a lot of those jobs that are so repetitive like that really kind of lend themselves to paranormal residual activity. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Here's a favorite. I think this one makes every list.
I think so too.
The culprit of the crimes at Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa remains a mystery. June 9th, 1912 was a tragic day for the Moore family. 6 of its members plus 2 house guests were brutally killed by an axe murderer who was never identified. Their restless spirits are said to haunt the grounds to this day. Guests can visit the house during the daytime, but to experience its full creepiness, you can make a reservation to spend the night.
Everybody already knows we already liked this one.
Yeah.
We just talked about this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. And it's not far from me. I need to go, but... Yeah.
I know. I'm waiting for you to go so we can do a whole show on it.
Yeah, it'll happen one of these days. I'm going to one that's like 10 hours away and not going to the one that's 2 hours away.
That's how we always end up doing it, too. It's like, because I think the closer they are to you, it's like, okay, I can do that anytime.
Right?
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Orpheum Theater in Memphis, Tennessee is said to be haunted by the ghost of a little girl named Mary. The Orpheum Theater in Memphis has survived bankruptcies, a fire, and threat of demolition since it's opened in 1928. Furnished with 2,000-pound chandeliers and gold leafing, its stunning interior seats 2,000 people, but also leaves plenty of room for spirit. That's one of 6 ghosts who have been spotted in the theater, according to Haunted Houses. Performers on stage have spotted her in the audience of their shows, and theatergoers have seen her dancing in the lobby.
I don't know if I've heard of this one. I'm not sure. There's so many of them.
I know. I've seen several theaters, but I'm not sure if I've seen that one. It's not ringing any bells. Brumder Mansion. Brumder, that's kind of a weird name. Bed and breakfast in Milwaukee, Wisconsin used to house a speakeasy. In Wisconsin's historic Concordia district, Brumder Mansion Bed and Breakfast used to have a speakeasy in the basement. Today, the 8,000-square-foot mansion serves as an event and concert space in addition to being a bed and breakfast. I wonder if Darren's been here. I'll have to ask Darren.
Yeah.
It attracts ghost hunters and paranormal investigators with frequent mysterious incidents. 12 groups and organizations devoted to exploring paranormal activities say they have encountered spirits here. That's kind of a weird statement, 12 groups.
They count each group.
Apparently. According to Haunted Houses, its otherworldly occupants include former owners, an Italian gambler, a 14-year-old prostitute. 14-year-old prostitute? That's kind of strange. And a doctor.
That's quite the group.
Yeah. Sounds interesting. It doesn't look big enough to be a concert venue from the little picture I got in here, but...
Yeah, same. I was thinking that.
It's Kind of a weird combination, bed and breakfast and concert hall. Huh.
Yep.
Sounds interesting, though. Like I said, we'll have to ask our resident Wisconsin person to see if they know this one.
Yes, definitely have to ask Darren.
North Dakota's old governor's residence is said to be haunted. The governor's mansion was constructed in 1884 for a First National Bank executive who sold the house to the state in 1893. Served as an official North Dakota governor's residence for 20 governors and their families until 1960. It was opened to the public as a North Dakota State Historic Site in 1883, renovated to look at them in 1893. Governor Frank Briggs died of tuberculosis in the home in 1898, and a butler refused to sleep there, claiming it was haunted by his spirit.
Interesting. It's a beautiful, beautiful house.
Oh, it is. It's a beautiful building. It's kind of interesting history, though. I mean, why did they stop using it as a governor's mansion? Would be my question.
Probably wanted something fancier.
Yeah, and then it sat empty for 20 years until it became a museum. Interesting.
Yeah. Probably something to do with upkeep or something. Who knows?
Yeah, hard to say. Our governor's mansion here in Illinois is still quote unquote in use, but the governors don't really use it too much. But Franklin Castle, also known as Tiedemann House, Cleveland, Ohio. I can't even say Ohio today. Goodness. Was once a stately home that sits abandoned today. German immigrant Hans Tiedemann had his home built on Franklin Boulevard in Cleveland in the early 1880s. Haynes lived in the home with his wife, Louise, their 2 daughters, August and Dora, and used the remaining rooms for friends and family visiting from Germany. Eventually, August and Dora moved out of the home, and Louise died in 1885, prompting Haynes to sell the house and move out in 1896. The home changed hands multiple times after that, once belonging to the German-American League for Culture and then to Judy Garland's late husband. Today it stands decrepit and abandoned, save for the ghost of Louise Tiedemann and her daughter Emma, who never even lived in the house. She died before it was built.
Why would it be haunted by somebody that's never lived there? I always question things like that. This is very sad that it wasn't kept up, because from what I can see in the picture, it's absolutely stunning.
It looks like a really neat place. I wonder why it's abandoned. I'm wondering if it hasn't been torn down since. I don't know.
Can you imagine? That would be such a beautiful place if they...
Oh, yeah, if they fixed it up.
Yeah. And I can barely see any of it from this picture.
Yeah, I know. It's not a very good picture. It looks like it's a Google Street View picture.
Could be. It is. Google Maps. It says it.
Google.
I think we're on our last one.
Really? This is a really long article. Yes, it is. It's interesting. I'm glad we broke this down into 2 episodes, though, because...
Me too.
This is really interesting. This one, I don't know. And that I've heard of this one, but it sounds really neat. According to legend, the ghost of a girl who died from a poisoned clarinet reed haunts Centennial Hall in Valentine, Nebraska. Poisoned clarinet reed. I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
No, but what a way to kill somebody.
I know.
I think I saw it on Law and Order or something once.
It sounds like something that they would put on like one of those type of shows, like the mystery whodunit type things, and put Columbo on that one.
Right?
Centennial Hall in Valentine, Nebraska is known to be the state's oldest still standing high school building. The school, now a museum, dates back to 1897, and with that history comes many accounts of paranormal activity. Visitors report hearing voices, knocking, lights, and even music coming from the music room, though it no longer houses any instruments. The main ghost, however, is said to be that of the girl who died on the premises in 1944, reportedly from a poisoned clarinet reed.
Reportedly. I wonder if there's any factual...
Yeah, I know. I'm curious about that. Like I said, it sounds like one of those stories that you'll read about in a book that sounds really interesting, but I wonder about the factuality of that.
Me too. Wow, we made it. We made it through.
Woohoo! This was a really neat list. It had a lot of old favorites and really strange ones, and
yeah, it was. It really was. And I love the pictures of these places. I love looking at history and architectural detail and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, these are some really neat buildings. Really neat buildings for sure.
Definitely agree. Okay, guys, I think since this is another hour-long episode, on that note, we're going to wrap things up.
Curious to hear, if you've been to some of these unknown places, the ones that we talked about, or if you've heard of them anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Let us know. Darren, I expect a full report on the Wisconsin one.
Yes. Yes, Darren. It's your job. All right, guys, make sure you check us out on Facebook. Our group is, let's see if I can get this straight, Exploring the Unknown Podcast with Rebecca and Shay.
Yes, for sure. Check us out there. You can read the whole article. Maybe may add some to your list of paranormal places to go. And, fact check this one for us, because I think there's some wrong answers.
I think so, too. So, and as always, if you have a story you want us to do, send it to us there, or send it to us everywhere you talk to us, and we'll give you a special shout-out.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.